Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Functional Medicine podcast and class. My name is Tal, and I'm the Educational Director at the American Academy of Functional Health. And with us is Dr. Chill.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Hope everyone's having a great evening or day, depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're coming to you from the Pacific Northwest. Dr. Chill is in California currently, and as we are kind of slowly getting into the holiday atmosphere and Thanksgiving and everything, which is a fun part of the year, we wanted to do a special podcast and a special class for all of you. And so if you've been tuning in to our Wednesday classes, we typically talk about very specific conditions, the functional medicine, root cause or epigenetic causes of diseases, or integrative medicine. And we always try to stay on, bring you the latest, most modern and updated and recent strategies that you can use in your practice. However, today is going to be a little bit different because we had so many practitioners reaching out to us and asking us, how do we grow my practice? So how do I take everything that I'm learning from all of these classes, and how do I translate my knowledge, my skills, my clinical experience into more money in my bank account and also get more patients so I can help more people? So that's the two things we're going to focus on today. One is how to help you to build a sanctuary, a place that is designed to help and guide people towards better health, better function, better wellness, and of course, how to increase your income. So for that reason, I wanted to bring in Dr. Chill. Dr. Chill has been in healthcare as a functional medicine physician for, I would say, probably Dr. Chill, 13, 14 years now, I think.
That's about right. It seems like a long time.
Yes, and I know that you started in Arizona with a practice, and then you had a practice in California, and then you built online programs and served clients across the nation. And you also did an MBA, Master of Business Administration, and then also been, I would say, kind of like we see you as kind of like the leading authority in building practices, which is amazing. And so I love hearing, the success stories. We'll show a few of those later on, but when you go to our website and you see practitioners, nurse practitioners, physicians, pharmacists, registered nurses, a variety of providers that are building practices, and they're doing really well. Like within a few months, they're busy. They're now focused just on functional and integrative medicine. They're bringing a good income, so our community gets paid between $200 to $850 per appointment. A lot of it is really thanks to Dr. Chill because he brings to his mentorship years of experience with business and clinic. And so I wanted Dr. Chill to be here so I can kind of poke your brain a little bit, Dr. Chill.
I appreciate the bio and the introduction. No, but I've built multiple practices, and now I'm helping practitioners with starting, operating, and scaling their practices. But yes, you're absolutely correct. With the practitioners that we're serving in our community, the number one question is, how do I start? How do I get new patients? And how do I grow it, right? I guess it's three questions, but they kind of go in that order, and that's what we're going to be doing tonight.
Yes, absolutely. So I think this would be, so if you are watching this right now and you are in the planning phase, which a lot of our community members are in the planning phase, right? Maybe they still work in the hospital care. Maybe they work in urgent care. Maybe they work in a in a outpatient clinic, but they have this vision and they have this, let's call it gut feeling, right? We like to talk about gut in functional medicine, so let's call it the gut feeling that they should be utilizing a different approach, right? They should explain to the patient why they're sick. They should help their patient improve their health rather than just provide a prescription. And so if you're one of those individuals, you're in the right place, because we're going to talk about how do you make that transition, what do you want to have in place. And I wish that I had a class like this when I started over 20 years ago, because I spent a lot of time, effort, and money. I went through 3 different functional medicine programs and went through 2 doctorate programs. And in the end, I wanted to utilize all the skills, all the knowledge, everything that I learned. And there was very little real business content or information that I could actually use. So the first 5 years, the result of it is I struggled. I kind of dragged my work at the pain clinic that I was working in 2-3 days a week. The rest of the time I was in private practice. I wanted to help more patients. I knew I had information that can help a lot of patients, but I was constantly struggling with, how do I get more patients? How do I was chasing insurance reimbursement, which was a very hard thing for myself and patients to deal with insurance. So today we're going to talk about mostly cash-based practice, and you can apply what we're teaching you for an insurance base, but we would recommend for you to have at least cash services, either as an added option, or just focus on cash services. You can do it. I know it's a little bit stressful to think about just being cash, but I made the transition and I was very successful with my mentor's guidance. And everything we're teaching you is the exact system that Dr. Chill has used to build multiple practices, that I've used to grow my practice to 7 figures. So if you apply everything we teach you, you're going to expedite your success and hopefully avoid the first 3 to 5 years of struggle that I went through. And that's why I love bringing you in, Dr. Chill, because I've seen practitioners using this, what we're going to teach today. Mm-hmm. The practitioners that we've taught them this were able to get their practice started, and then within a few months, literally have a busy practice that pays as well, if not better, than what they got paid in their other job. And I always, when I say that, I'm thinking about Suzanne, who is going through our advanced functional medicine program. She's about halfway through, and she left her previous job. She's got a full-time practice. She's getting paid over $300 per session, and she's fully booked, and she's now hiring another associate to join her. So
yeah, it was great. I was kind of overseeing a lot of her cases and overseeing with the business applications, right? And it was really awesome to see her start and then a couple months later already being like, I need to hire somebody, because she was just doing everything correctly, right? She was doing all of the steps. She was implementing a lot of the systems. She was bringing in a membership program. She was also being a great practitioner with going through the advanced and functional medicine program. So she knew exactly what to do from a functional medicine perspective with her patients. And then as her patients were getting better, she was also getting referrals as well. So it's like a multi-pronged approach, right? You have to be a good practitioner, and then you also have to have the business systems in place.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm glad that you mentioned this, because we're mentioning here, for example, Suzanne, who's been doing amazing work, and she really built her practice quite fast.
Absolutely.
If you want to listen to how she did it and She also had recurrent revenue with memberships. We taught her how to establish memberships, and we got a whole training on that. And now she's getting $313 per each patient coming in. So every 10 patients she's bringing over $3,000 every month, starting the month with like over $3,100 for every 10 patients. She's already got multiple patients that are either paying for a whole year in advance.
Mm-hmm.
So she's bringing in really good income. But I love what you're saying. It's, we want to make sure that we always get the clinical training and the business practice. From my experience, I've been in the field of functional integrative medicine. I've got lots of colleagues. I've been a part of multiple business networks, and I could tell when somebody, is lacking the clinical skills, and your patients could too. So, based on my experience, even the best marketing tactics could not compensate for lack of clinical skills.
Absolutely.
So, and that's exactly what Dr. Chill was saying. So yes, we are going to show you today the 7 steps to establish a successful practice, but we want to make sure that you also have the clinical tools, you also have the clinical skills. So when a patient comes to see you, you're going to be the person that would quickly earn their trust by providing them the right training, the right guidance, the right recommendations. And so with that being said, that's let's get into it. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm excited.
And you can tell that both Dr. Chill and me are very passionate about it. And I'm especially passionate about it because after you go through like this phase of 3 to 5 years of like pushing and nothing moves, it's like, and then you get this, you start applying things and you get a massive breakthrough. It's very transformational. It's very, very transformational, and I love seeing it on others. So
it's the best, right? It's that this is what it's all about, is being able to help somebody accelerate their business a lot faster than we did, right? Because like you said, it took us a few years to figure everything out. And even then it took us another couple of years. So we're kind of giving everything that we've learned within these past decade and a half, and in a condensed version. So you don't have to go through all of the trials and errors that we had to go through.
Absolutely. And that's really the value of being here. If it took us, me and Dr. Chill, 5 to 10 years to figure things out, what doesn't work, what works, we made all the mistakes, possible mistakes, right? And then we are giving you now the template, the recipe of how to do it, right? That's how we see community members that are succeeding instead of 5 to 10 years, you're getting a template that allows you to reach success, and it's going to be defined differently for every person, but reach a successful status within 5 to 10 months instead of 5 to 10 years, right? That's what we're here for. So let's get into it. Step number 1. So this is what we want you to do is define your niche. So let's show the whiteboard, Jacob. Yeah, and we can leave the notes so we can kind of have them write their niche. So what I want you to do to get the most out of today's class with us is to just have a pen and a notepad ready, and just as we go through this training and we talk about the 7 steps, just write down the step, and Jacob can also put in like the step on the bottom so you'll know where we are. Like step number 1, define your niche, why you, and then just write down what types of association are coming up for you. And I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm going to write here. Number 1 is defining my niche, right? So defining my niche. So what does that mean? It's your niche needs to be, the more specific it is, the better. When you focus on a specific patient population, that could be a certain condition or a symptom, you attract the right people who already are looking for what or struggle with that particular symptom or condition. Now, there's multiple reasons why you want to define your niche. One of them is that there's a quote: if you try to speak to everyone, you'll connect with no one. And the second reason is because the more you present yourself as an expert of a certain condition or a symptom, then the more you're going to be attracting again that particular person or patient. And if you want to see a proof of that, just look around you and see how specialists, in so many cases, specialists are getting paid much more than generalists, right? And I can give you examples from healthcare, right? I can give you examples. I'll give you examples from even construction or home building, right? So if you invite to your home a generalist, let's say a handyman, they might charge between $20 to $50 depending on where you are. But if you invite to your house a plumber or an electrician, right? In Oregon, for example, you can get a specialist and a plumber or an electrician for less than $150 an hour, right? So, and it's the same in healthcare, right? I know generalists that will charge $150, $250, or $300 per session, and I know experts that will charge $1,200 for the same approach. So I know, for example, neurologists that will charge $1,000 per session, right? So this is where we want to make sure that we are focusing on your niche, because you are going to be, the perceived value is that I'm an expert. So I'll give you an example. Now, your niche could be, there's multiple ways to pick your niche. It could be, what do you resonate with the most? What condition? So for example, for me, it was chronic pain. I was a patient. I went through chronic pain for several years. I started with different medication, NSAIDs, then I was upgraded to steroids. So for me, I started in chronic joint pain. So that's where So I started with chronic joint pain. Now, another example, you can do diabetes neuropathy. Diabetes type 2 plus neuropathy. So that would be another, and that would be a different niche, right? So I'm giving you here examples of different niches that you can pick from. And what you want to think of is, what is most interesting to you? What resonates with you the most? What maybe you have clinical experience with, right? A certain condition. Dr. Chill, what else would they consider about a niche when they pick a niche?
Yeah, the more specific, as you said, the better, right? So I've worked with a lot of practitioners that are going after like type 2 diabetes. But even with type 2 diabetes, here's the kicker with that, right? There's so many people that are going after, there's a lot of people that are going after type 2 diabetes. So you have to even make type 2 diabetes even more specific, right? And here's the thing, when you're going after type 2 diabetes, many of those patients are in the, I guess, the system, right? The insurance system. So they're used to an insurance model, and it's difficult to get those patients from an insurance model into like a cash pay practice. So you have to go after a specific type of person with type 2 diabetes. And this is why I love type 2 diabetes with neuropathy, because there's actually a major pain point. There's a major need within the type 2 diabetes that they're trying to resolve immediately, right? It's not just type 2 diabetes. You want to add something special or unique within that type 2 diabetes. And this can be with any condition that you're looking at.
Yes, absolutely. And I'll add to what Dr. Chiu was just mentioning. When you pick your niche, and this is a mistake I made multiple times, and thankfully my mentor was able to pick it up real quick and help me adjust that. Here's the chart of specificity and pain struggle. So on this axis, you can see the pain and struggle, which means that, let's say this is like 0 pain all the way to the like 10 out of 10, right? And specificity, it's like, this would be like, let's say a general, and this would be more specific. So the more specific you can be, the better, because your messaging is going to cut through the clutter and get exactly to the person that wants to listen, that is looking for somebody like you. And also the pain and struggle, the more your patients struggle with pain on a daily basis, that could be emotional pain, that could be physical pain, that could be the pain of missing out on things because of their condition, the more they are motivated to change. Because it's harder to transform someone's life if they're not motivated to change their diet, change their lifestyle, take supplements, find out what's the root causes are, right? Pay for the services. Like if the motivation, the driving forces are not there, you're gonna struggle. And I made that mistake multiple times before. When I first came out, I said, I'm offering functional medicine. I'm doing health and wellness. But a lot of patients, just the term health and wellness, they're not going to pay $250 for, because it's very general to them. It doesn't really mean much to them. Once I started adjusting my messaging, I started getting more clarity of who it is that I'm looking for. I started attracting those patients much better. I'll give you an example. So let's say this is the axis. I'm going to go from general to specific, right? So I'm going to go general. I am a health consultant. That's very, very general, right? Another one is I work with patients with autoimmune conditions. Autoimmune conditions, right? That's okay, but it's very general. Right? So I can be talking to a patient with an inflammatory bowel disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, whatever it is, lupus, whatever it is. I can just say, yeah, I see everything, all autoimmune patients I see. But if I talk to a patient that has rheumatoid arthritis and I say, I utilize functional medicine or integrative medicine to help patients with rheumatoid arthritis, now we're talking the same language. Now they're interested, right? So the reason I'm showing you this graph is because this, for example, rheumatoid arthritis is a classical example for very specific, right? So I can check this box, very specific. It's also very high on the pain scale, right? And this is to add to what Dr. Chill said. When I first came out and I said, I want to help patients with type 2 diabetes, I was working with chronic pain patients, or many of them had diabetes, and they were getting really good results with our care. Some of them even got off metformin. We were able to naturally manage their sugar levels. But so I said, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to post that I'm passionate about I'm opening a functional medicine diabetic program. And the result was crickets, right? Literally crickets. Even when I spend money on marketing, and I did a seminar in a hotel, and some people showed up with diabetes, and I talked to them about the solutions. it was still very hard to get them to commit to working with me for several months to help them improve their health. Why? Because diabetes would lie somewhere here, right? Diabetes is very specific, right? So I'll put it right here. This is where diabetes is. It's very specific, right? We're saying type 2 diabetes, very specific. I'll just do type 2 diabetes, right? It's very specific, but when we talk about diabetes, the urgency is not there because it's very low on a pain and struggle scale. So those patients are not that motivated. They're like, yeah, I hate metformin because it makes me feel makes my stomach feel bad, and I get stomach discomfort and all that stuff. And yeah, I would prefer to not feel tired and not be reliant on medication, but would I pay for that? Would I change my diet for that? Maybe, maybe not, right? But when we're talking about diabetes, neuropathy, now we're talking about much higher pain and struggle, because if I have pain in my feet all day long and all night when I'm trying to sleep, if I'm maxed out on gabapentin and I'm still struggling, you bet I'm going to be very, very invested in listening to what you have to say about natural solutions to diabetic neuropathy, right? This is where we put neuropathy as a higher. So you want to ask yourself, when you write down what it is that you're passionate about, is it general, which means that you're gonna try and go for like millions of people, but it's not, instead of going for a very specific group, you're trying to go for everybody, right? It's almost like you're in the ocean, you're trying to catch a fish, and you're just jumping on all the fishes, right? Instead of just focusing on one, right? So your chances are much better if you have a very focused, very specific condition together with a higher scale of pain and struggle, which will motivate them. Dr. Chill, do you want to add anything about the common mistakes people make?
I think that was kind of the nail, right? It's like making it that specific, even with a condition. Because I mean, I worked with a lot of practitioners that just focused on a condition, but they didn't even go into some of the details and the pain points of the condition, right? Like
Yes.
Diabetes, they just stayed on diabetes, and same thing happened to them. It was crickets in the beginning until they honed in on their messaging and they went after something like diabetes type 2 with neuropathy. The pain point, they were missing that high level of pain point and that urgency. That is the biggest thing. Another thing that you want to maybe consider, is it something that you might have struggled with, or a family maybe have struggled with, or it's something that you often see within your clinic and you're helping a lot of patients already and you have a lot of testimonials. Those are good starting points if you're looking at figuring out what program to kind of get into as well.
Great. Thank you. Let's go into number 2. So number 2, step number 2 is know your ideal client. Dr. Chill, you want to take us into that one?
Yes, this is, who are you speaking to? Who are you helping, right? What I tell practitioners is I usually say, picture somebody that is going through whatever you're trying to help out, right? Diabetes with neuropathy. You want to speak directly to that person. You actually want to envision that patient. And when you do that, it makes the messaging really clear because you hone in on that person and that patient's specific goals. You hone in on their specific pain points. And you're going to, once you get to those pain points, right, then you get to provide a solution. You get to provide the desired transformation. And again, we're going to go back to the example of diabetes and neuropathy. So many patients are they have a fear of losing mobility. We want to talk about that, not necessarily for the sake of fear. It's because we can provide them a solution, right? And they have an urgency. They don't want to lose their mobility. And we, as practitioners from a functional medicine perspective, can help them. And we want to be able to provide that help to them. But we need to make sure that that messaging is clear. And when you know your specific niche and you know your ideal client, like the diabetes with neuropathy, you can picture that ideal client and then talk about all of these different pain points and provide all of these different solutions. So again, an example with diabetes and neuropathy, they have a fear of losing mobility. They might have a lot of sleep disruption because they have a burning feet sensation, or obviously the neuropathic pain. They can't sleep because of all of that pain. They might feel unheard, right? They might go into the traditional setting and the doctors aren't fully helping them. They might be going over many of their conditions or many of their symptoms, and maybe the doctors continuously throw multiple different medications at them. That is a pain point for these types of patients. You need to understand their psychology around everything, what they're going through. And this is another reason why I say, is this something that you're passionate about, or you've dealt with yourself, or a family member has dealt with this, or you're seeing a lot of these types of patients and you understand what they're exactly going through, right? And that allows you to understand the psychology, and that allows you to know your ideal client, who you serve, and then you can speak directly to them.
Yes, absolutely. And I appreciate this guidance. I wrote it here. I wrote it here as know your client, your ideal client. So of course, the more specific you are, the better. So age, gender, location, that helps us when we work with you on where do we find those clients, knowing the very specific, almost like imagining who is that client, right? Helps us, their age, their gender, location, what they're looking for, what are their goals, helps us to identify where we can find them. So, for example, when I first worked with my mentor, it was, I could clearly, as I was working with my mentor and they asked me this question, I can clearly see a patient of mine that came in for back pain. She had back pain for over 20 years, tried everything out there, tried steroid shots and acupuncture and chiropractic and different things. And she said, I have pain every day and I don't know what else to do. And I don't want to be on opioids because I can't function on those. And so we used functional medicine, and we had a really amazing transformation. It took about 4 or 5 months. We were able to find out what's causing that inflammation, that vicious cycle of inflammation, oxidative stress, and more pain. We were able to help her, and we got probably about 70-80% reduction in her pain, which she was very excited about. It really changed her life, and she was so happy and so grateful. And so I'm thinking about her. I'm like, oh, like, I actually enjoy working with her so much. She was so grateful every time she came in. And as I was thinking about age, gender, location, right? What's her major problem? What's the main goal is to get out of pain, right? So get out of pain. That's get relief, right? Now, how did she want to do it? She wanted to do it more in a natural way. She didn't want to use more drugs. So how, right? Desired results is get relief. Get relief naturally. She didn't know what functional medicine is. She didn't even care about that stuff. She heard about me from somebody that came to see me previously, and she said, you got to go see Tal. He treats things in a natural way. I said, great, let's talk about what's going on. We worked together. It was a great experience for both of us, right? So think about that patient that you really enjoy working with, and that's what we want to fill up your practice with. So it can go in different ways. You can write, I help patient with, for example, diabetes neuropathy, right? We talked about diabetes neuropathy as an example. Neuropathy, to find the root causes of diabetes and get relief from pain in a natural way. So a simple sentence like this: who are you helping? How are you helping them? Very specific. Now notice I did not use any fancy words. I didn't use the word functional medicine. I didn't use the term epigenetic. I didn't use the term your gut bacteria causes dysbiosis, activates your inflammatory pathways. I didn't use any of those medical language. I kept it very simple. So even if I talk to a patient that wants to get relief and they ask me, Tal, what do you do? And I say, I help patients with diabetes neuropathy to find the root causes of their diabetes, what's causing their diabetes, and get relief from pain in a natural way, right? That is very specific, right? So what we're trying to essentially tell you is that what you want to avoid is the mistake of using clinical language instead of the patient's language. And the second common mistake is talking about just focusing on just going out there without a very specific understanding of where is your patient is and what are they looking for, right? So two things: where can I find them? Because then when we teach you the 5 methods of getting patients for free, literally for free, it doesn't cost you any money, right? And I can guarantee that they don't cost you any money because I use the same systems for myself. We know exactly where to deploy these strategies because we know where our patients are going to, where we can find them. Second thing is, when we talk to our potential patients, we talk in the language that they understand, that we talk in a language that confirms that, yeah, we understand what they're looking for. Now, if somebody just wants pharmaceuticals, then they're going to probably say, well, if you're offering natural solutions, then it's not for me. And that's okay. We don't want to attract the wrong type of patients. I've done that before, and it typically doesn't work out very well. So we want to attract the patients that would listen to what you're saying. So you can use I'm offering natural solutions to blank, right? I'm really passionate about helping patients with, let's say, something specific, rheumatoid arthritis, to find relief in natural ways, right? So there's different ways to do that. We can help you kind of sharpen your messaging. But that's very important to understand your client. The better you understand your client, the better you can design your messaging on your website that resonates with them. You can talk to your potential client. You can use it in the first interaction, which is the consultation. You can use it if you're invited to do a talk. You can use it. You can use it anywhere you want. And they will hear you and say, oh, that's what I'm looking for. That's the person for me. So let's go into step number 3, which is very important. Now that we know who is your ideal client, where to find them, so we can deploy our marketing strategies. Dr. Chill, take us into your offer.
Yeah, this is another important part of your business system, is your offer. So not only do you need to have a niche, and then making sure that you're speaking directly to a specific type of person and understanding that patient, You want to actually have an offer that talks about how you're going to transform their lives, right? You're not just talking about tools or different sessions or the clinics. You're talking about them. You're speaking directly to them and how you can help and what it's going to look like when their symptoms improve, when they get to resolve the pain, when their acne clears, right? Things along those lines. It's all about talking about the transformation instead of the different types of sessions, what labs they're going to get. You'll be discussing all of that down the road. But in the beginning here, when you're trying to get to your potential client, you need to talk about transformation. An example of this is a 12-week metabolic and nerve healing program. And what it's going to do, you're going to be reduced in pain. All of your pain is going to improve or improve significantly. You're going to regain sensation and you're going to restore daily function so you can start to live your life again, right? And we, as mentors and coaches, can help you hone in on this specific offer and your transformation, because I've worked with practitioners often, and they will have the right niche, they will have the right they will know who they're going after, but their offer needs to be honed in, and they weren't getting to be able to close on their specific potential clients because their offer wasn't strong enough, because they weren't talking about more of the transformation. They were actually discussing more of the tools and the number of sessions instead of the actual transformation. So that is a common mistake, is not focusing on the solutions with these potential clients and then making sure that you're adding value to your program as well, and going into what is going to happen after they actually start to improve all of their symptoms. How are they going to regain their life back?
Exactly. And I love that you mentioned all of those, because that was one of the mistakes that I've seen other practitioners that we've worked with and building their programs and trying to do coaching, and they invest so much time and effort into putting it all together, and I'm going to offer like this amount of session, or I'm going to give them this lab. This is really cool. It's gut lab, or it's like a adrenal profile, or it's this, or it's a Dodge test, and they will get so much data out of it. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's really cool for us, right? Or how much does it cost even? I put it in parentheses because, I don't want to, I know money triggers different emotions in different people, but I can tell you that, I made that mistake, and I've seen other practitioners, we've been coaching practitioners for several years now, and I've seen other practitioners make that mistake. The patient comes in, they talk about their condition, their medical history, and then in the end they say, well, we're going to give you this amount of session, we're going to order these labs, it's going to cost you this amount, and then they're surprised why the patients say, I'll think about it, and then they never see them again. Right? Which is a lost opportunity, not just for you to make hundreds or thousands of dollars, but it's a massive opportunity to help another person that otherwise will just be going home, sitting in front of the TV, watching Netflix, and they continue to struggle. Or unfortunately, some of them even losing their health, right? So they're getting worse. So we have to learn how to do this better in order for us to talk to them in a language that they understand. Because when they show up in your practice, this is just the technical stuff. They don't really care about this stuff, right? What they care, and I'll add here even their condition, right? Like their condition, right? And it reminds me of a person that showed up in my practice, and they had diabetes and cardiovascular conditions and this, and the information they brought was very concerning, right? They were in such a bad shape. Like, my concern is that they're not going to be around for much longer, right? And I try to educate them. I spend an hour with them educating about how bad their diabetes numbers look like, and how bad some of their cardiometabolic panel look like. And I was like, and they already seen another practitioner who did some labs, and they were just, it was almost like they were just sitting there and nodding their head. It was almost, it's like coming in from one ear, going out from the other. When did things really change? When was the transformation? When I remembered one rule, which is patients don't care about the features. They care about what's in it for them, right? So that's what they're looking for. So if you're just taking one thing from what I'm showing you, is this. I'm gonna make it as simple as possible. This is it. That's all. That's all it is. I feel like Dr. Chill, we can just finish here.
That's it. Yeah, I love your pictures.
So
that's all you need, right there.
There you go. So I'm joking, of course, but what I want you to think about when you see this, right, is when did the whole thing change? When I had this, like I was sitting in front of this person, right? Again, I'm taking you with me. I'm sitting in front of this person. They're in their 60s. Everything looks bad. Like their quality of life is really bad. Their lab's really bad. Like everything is bad, right? It looks like there's so many things that are not managed well. And they got a really good practitioner primary care practitioner trying to work their best. They're taking so many different medications. They don't want more drugs. And I'm just sitting there, and I asked them, are you ready for change? Are you ready for change? This is really bad. Your diabetes is really bad. This is really bad. Your cardiometabolic panel is really bad. All of this. Are you ready for change? And all I'm getting is like, I'm not sure. Tal, I'm not sure. Tal, I'm not sure. Tal, I'm not sure. And I felt like towards the last 45 minutes, I'm just losing them. Like I'm losing an opportunity to help a person, and I really wanted to help them. I actually knew a family member, their family member, that sent them to me, and I really wanted to do everything I can to help. And so all I did is this. I asked them, what bothers you the most about where you are right now? Right? I left the diabetes, the number of sessions, what we're offering, how much it costs. I left all of that. I was like, okay, I'm just going to ignore the whole thing. I'm just going to ask them, what bothers you the most about this whole situation you're in right now? Right? You know what they told me? They have so much body pain that they can't play golf anymore, and they want to go to play golf. That's where they meet with their friends. I asked them, why is golf so important for you? That's where I go meet my friends. I have a really good time. That's like the thing that I'm looking for every week, playing golf with my friends. And I can't do that because I'm in pain all the time, right? Playing golf, right? So I said, okay, so you right now here, you cannot play golf, and you want to get to the point where you can play golf. So I asked him this. If in the next 6 months, we're going to work together, let's say the next 6 months, and using the different strategies that we're using, the whatever it is, lifestyle, dietary, the supplements, we can figure out what's causing all of this inflammation. We could help you reduce inflammation, have less pain, and potentially, and that would be our goal, to get you to play golf. Would that be something worthwhile to commit to? And their eyes lit up, and they said, you think that will be achievable? And I said, I don't know, but I think we have a good shot of at least trying to get there, right? And so at that point, it was almost like somebody turned on the light switch. They were completely with me, and they're like, okay, tell me what do we need to do? Then you open up the feature. You're like, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to meet every 2 weeks. We're going to include these 2 or 3 labs. And Are you all good? Are you all in? Yes. Okay, now let's talk about how much it costs, and let's get started. Let's get started right away. Let's get started today. And guess what? They signed in with a 6 months program that was like $9,000, right? Before, they didn't care about any of that. All they care about is like I failed to ask them about the thing that they care about the most. Now, might sound stupid. I mean, it did to me. I mean, I was like, come on, you might not be around here. You're living in such misery, and golf is the thing but hey, golf to them was associated with a lot of joy, with friendship, with a lot of things. They were willing to move themselves forward because I asked him about what he cares about. He didn't care about the diagnosis. He didn't care about what I'm going to do to help him. He cared about what's in it for him. So make sure you ask your patient, what are you looking for? What makes you most miserable right now with the situation that you are right now? Where do you want to be? If we work together 3 months, 6 months from now, a year from now, where do you want to be? Let them tell you where they want you to take them, right? That's really important. I can tell you, just this principle by itself, I was able to more than triple the amount of patients that enrolled in my programs just by this one simple strategy, right? That's how I went from like 70, 80K a year to 650K in the following 2-3 years, because I understood this one simple principle. It's all about patients care about themselves, not about the features and the labs and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. All right, let's go into number 4. Dr. Chill, you want to take us into number 4?
Yes, absolutely. I am all about systems. I love having a well-functioning, streamlined system. And if you do this, your life is going to be so much easier and your patients' lives are going to be so much better because you get to focus on them, right? So what you want to do is ensure that your clinical infrastructure is set up for results. And you want to have systems in place to actually elevate your care. Things like understanding how you are going to prescribe supplements, right? Or make recommendations to supplements. And the way you do that should be easy as well. You should be able to send a prescription or a recommendation of a supplement to them. The patient or the client takes a look at it and then they can order. And a couple of systems or platforms that allow you to do this and companies are FullScript and Emerson Ecologics. Both of them, they've actually combined, and it's actually under one company, which is FullScript, but they still have 2 different companies that they're functioning out of, which is FullScript and Emerson Ecologics. Emerson Ecologics is more on the wholesale side. So if you're a practitioner and actually want to provide your patients with wholesale supplements, you can go directly with Emerson. For FullScript, and if you want to make it really easy and just send them a link to be able to order supplements or set up an account with something like FullScript. And then the next thing, labs. Technology is great right now for practitioners because there's so many different companies and technology that is out that helps practitioners with their systems and their operations. And another area is in the labs. A couple of lab companies that we typically recommend, and we have no affiliation with these companies, are Rupa Health and Evexia Diagnostics. The reason why they're great is because these 2 major companies will house the many specialty functional medicine lab companies under their umbrella. So instead of having multiple accounts with things like Doctors Data, Genova Diagnostics, Vibrant Labs, right? You can order all of those labs under Rupa Health, or Avexia Diagnostics. And then another thing that you want to do is ensure that you have an infrastructure that can send out protocols easy to understand for your patients. And you provide roadmaps and guides and step-by-step approaches for your patients. And you should have that all laid out. And this allows you to operate like a specialist, right? Those kind of 3 areas is what you want to really look for in the beginning to set up your infrastructure. You don't know how many practitioners that I've worked with that don't have these set up. And that this is actually one of the first things that you want to set up so you don't have to worry about it. And then you can focus on helping the patients, because once you have these set up, it's a system. It's easy, a couple of clicks to get to certain things that you need for the patient, supplements, labs, protocols.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm just gonna repeat what Dr. Chilev said here. I wrote it down so you have it in front of you. So supplements, Fullscript and Emerson Ecologic. Emerson Ecologic allows you to order the supplement to you or directly to the patient's home. You get it at like 40 or 50% discount. If you want, as Dr. Chill said, to promote supplements to your patients, professional grade, directly from the manufacturer and in good prices, Fullscript allow you to get a web page that is unique to you, and whatever your patients buy on that page, essentially you can give them a discount. And I'll give you a pro tip here. Pro tip here is that the most successful practices give their patients additional 10% discount, and they take 30% as profit. So your patient, let's say, the supplements are, let's say, $100 a month. Out of that, they get 10% discount, additional discount, which is great for them. You're helping them save money. I love doing that whenever I can for patients. And then you get 30% of it. So you get $30 out of every $100 they spend. If you're starting to accumulate more and more patients and they're ordering $1,000 every month, you get $300. Now, I know in my practice, and I know other practices of colleagues of mine, who that 30% profit is thousands of dollars every month, right? Because most patients in the functional integrative medicine practices will be on supplements. 7 and even 8 out of 10, according to some statistics, 8 out of 10 adults in the United States are buying supplements and taking supplements on a regular basis. Why not buy it from you, right? Why not buy it from a professional grade company with additional discount? And then if you want to, you can get 30% of that. So that's additional profit. Just make sure if you do that, have a disclaimer on your website and the consent form that specifically addresses that. And now labs, we got Rupa Health, Avexia, Doctor's Data. Those are all great. EMR, if you want something simple to get started, I wouldn't spend too much money here. You can get Clinico with a K. It's about $50 a month. It's pretty affordable. That's what we like. We like to start things with, we like to see wherever we can save you money, the practitioners. We always want to do that. So don't go into fancy EMRs where it takes you months to set it up and you'll pay $200, $300, $400 a month. I've done that mistake. Trust me, start with something simple. You can get started right away. And then have a marketing software. This is really important. Your website, the way you communicate with patients, your email, your SMSs, your campaign, like your outreach to patients, right? And your scheduler should all be HIPAA compliant. Now, if you want a software that has everything in one, we have for the first time included it in our Practice Accelerator program. So instead of spending hundreds of dollars on all of that with hosting and website and a HIPAA compliant email and SMS and email campaigns and all landing pages, all that stuff, we have one tool that is HIPAA compliant that includes everything. We actually include that at no additional charge when you join the Practice Accelerator. If you want more information about it, then reach out to us. We'll be happy to provide it to you. And we actually load up this software already with templates that are ready, templates that Dr. Chill have used, that our other community members in the Practice Accelerator use. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Like, we literally have the templates for the website, for the landing page, for what emails to send out, and everything is automated for you. So if you're interested in that, check out our Practice Accelerator. Now let's dive into, now that we talked about system, let's dive into number 5. Dr. Chill, take us into number 5.
Yeah, so this is building your online presence, right? It's all about, again, going back to your niche, knowing your demographic and your marketing or your patient and your offer. This is what your website should portray, but in a way that your patient will understand, right? You want to talk about who you are, what you do, how you help, who you help, and how to get started, right? You want to also offer some sort of handout. Maybe it might be like a free neuropathy meal plan, or you might have them do a health quiz specific for diabetes, or you give them a blueprint for looking at what their root causes may be for their conditions, right? This is going to allow you, this is really important with websites or with funnel systems, is to take their information. And with that information, you get to keep reaching out to them and continue to nurture them, so you get to continue to educate them on who you are, how you help, and your approach. This starts to build more credibility, more likability, more trust in you. And that's the whole point. They need to have all 3 of those in order for them to actually start to come and see you as their practitioner. And the biggest things that websites I see all the time, the mistakes of websites, is there's no call to action built. There is no journey for the patients to go through. So what happens? A potential client will come onto the website, they'll look at it for 10 seconds and go off. At this point, you lost a potential client. You didn't get their email. You didn't get their contact information, and they're gone. They've gone to another place, right? So you've spent all of this time, all of this money building this website, and they just go on there for 10 seconds. And if you look at all of the research out there, that's what's happening. So you need to ensure that you are building trust. You're providing a specific call to action. You're providing what's called a lead magnet, which is the handouts that I was talking about, or the quizzes, or a guide, or a blueprint, right? This allows for you to get their information and their contact information, so you can keep contacting them. You can keep in touch with them. You can keep nurturing them so they understand you, what you do, how you help, and what your approach is. And now you've built credibility, likability, and trust. And now they're warmer for you to, they're warmer. So now they're ready to kind of jump into your program.
Absolutely. And I'll add something to what you've said, Dr. Chill. One is the importance of having a website that truly reflects who you are, your principles and values, and how are you different.
Mm-hmm.
One, because how many of us have checked out the website of a practitioner or a business before we went there, right? How many of us?
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I don't even go anywhere without looking at a website, right, and seeing who are they, what are they doing, right? Why should I go there? How things are done differently over there? So the first thing you want to make sure you have on your website is, of course, you want to have who are you, like the credentials. but you don't want your website to read like a resume, because that's boring. I've seen websites of practitioners who have like a 2-page resume, and I don't read that, and most people were not going to read that, right? So your credentials should be short and sweet. You got certified in functional medicine here, you did this, you have 13 years of experience in this place, like, and then most importantly, and this is more important than your stated credentials, why are you there for them? Why should they come see you? And I want you to think about this quote. People don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. And so your messaging there should be, I am passionate about helping patients with whatever condition you focus on to find relief from whatever symptom or desired outcome they want. I find relief from chronic pain using natural solutions, functional and integrative medicine, right? Make it clear, make it simple, and then they read about it and they're like, great. Now, why are you passionate about it? That could be, for me, it was my personal story. I struggled with chronic pain for several years. I tried different medications. I started losing function, and I understood that there's got to be a different way to do this. And I found functional medicine, completely transformed my life. Now I'm passionate about helping others to do the same. That completely resonates with patients. I can tell you how many people came into my practice. They paid for a session with me, and they sat down, and the first thing they said, Tal, I'm so glad I'm here with you. After reading your story, I feel like you totally understand what I'm going through. So I already built that trust before they even showed up for the first time. And of course, we have templates. We can help you refine your messaging so you get that same effect. But that's important. Then what is the problem? What problem are you solving? So again, and then the lead magnet that Dr. Chill mentioned is, don't let potential clients come into your website, check out your beautiful picture, and read a little bit about functional medicine, who you are, and then they say, you know what, my kid is calling me, I'm just going to get back to it tomorrow. Or, you know what, it's getting late, I'm going to get back to it tomorrow. You know what, I'm going to just take a look, maybe there's another practitioner in my area that does functional medicine, right? Don't let them bounce out without the opportunity to start creating a relationship. And that's exactly the reason why a lead magnet is there. Something as simple as, here's a book, I'll give you a free book about neuropathy. In my practice, what I use is what the Academy recommends, and that is the Healthy Cookbook and 30-Day Meal Plan. Patients loved it. And it was a simple PDF with lots of healthy recipes for inflammation, recipes for gut health, 30-day meal plan. And you get that when you're part of our functional medicine community, or you're in our practice accelerator. You get those tools, put it on the website, or if you want to, and you're in the practice accelerator, we can set it up for you. So when patients come into your webpage, they see that and they're like, you know what, I want to get that. Maybe I'm not ready for an appointment at this point, but I want to get that. And then the system automatically sends them emails to continue the conversation. So maybe they're not ready now. What about 2 days from now? What about a week from now when they wake up with shoulder pain or fatigue or brain fog, right? We're going to catch them at some point with this tiny reminders of emails that we are there for them. And you're doing something good because you're giving them something really helpful, such as the Healthy Cookbook. So that was number 5. Make sure you have those on your website. Otherwise, you're losing a lot of revenue and a lot of opportunity to help. And there was a survey that found that businesses with optimized call to action, that's how we call it, earned 3 times more revenue than businesses that just have a plain vanilla website. So don't have a plain vanilla website. Make sure you continue the conversations with your patients. So Number 6, Dr. Chill, take us into number 6.
Yeah, so this is actually creating a signature talk, right? This is actually the freeways that Dr. Cohen was talking about earlier on how to get new clients and potential clients. We actually have a full signature talk within the program, both the Advanced Functional Medicine program and the Accelerator program that we just provide for you, right? What this is going to do is it's going to allow you to go out to your community and actually talk about the problem, and then you talk about your approach and why it's different than what they're currently getting, right? And why their conditions and their symptoms aren't resolving. And then you're going to go into your solutions. You're going to go into things like your patient success stories. And then it's going to go into something like a next step, right? What you want to do is really, again, kind of going back to what we talked about earlier, is talking about the transformation, all of the solutions that you're going to be able to provide. And you also want to have what Dr. Cohen talked about, even with the websites. There should always be a call to action in everything you do, from your websites, your funnels, your emails, even in your talks. You should have some sort of call to action as well. But these signature talks can be really, really profound in getting new clients and potential clients for free. You're going out to your community and discussing exactly what you do. But there is an approach to this.
Yes, and if you want to create your own signature talk, I'm going to give you the very general overview recipe. So the signature talk is going to be used everywhere. This is essentially your educating the patient before they come to see you on the value of what it is that you do, meaning why would I pay you when I can go get my drug from the insurance, right? So the value is like in the results, in the way that you do things, which is not piling more drugs on them, but you're actually helping them to improve their health, to feel better, function better, right? It's more of a long-term fix rather than more of a corrective care. That's what we aim to do rather than symptomatic management, right? So your signature talk should reflect that. So here's the recipe. When you meet with individuals, or you can put it in a webinar, we get a lot of practitioners that just put it on a webinar, put it on a website, put it on their website, and people really connect strongly with that messaging. But I also used that when I went out there and did different talks. So we talk for 5 minutes about the struggle. If I talk about joint pain, for example, I talk about many patients I've seen so many patients go through NSAIDs and steroids and all of those other drugs, and they still struggle with pain. Some of them lose function, get to this head and find themselves in disability, which is really unfortunate. Then the problem with standard of care, NSAIDs can cause digestion problems, right? There's side effects, right? And then you need more and more medication as time goes by, which is more expensive and have more side effects. And then now they understand that I understand where they are, right? The next step is, how is your approach different, which is functional medicine or integrative medicine, right? So how is it different? So here again, the main thing that we talk about is that the standard of care, right, is focused on symptom management or disease management, right? Which is it's important. But what we're trying to do is do more of a corrective care. Meaning, we're trying to find out what's contributing to that disease or those symptoms, and then improve their health so they can feel better, and then they're not dependent on more medication in the long term, right? That's how we do it. And we might talk a little bit about how their gut bacteria causes more inflammation, right? If they got their own type of bacteria, We might talk a little bit about how eating the wrong foods can contribute to inflammation, right? Just give them a couple of examples, and then finish with, would you like to learn more about it? Would you like me to work with you one-on-one? Would you like the opportunity to come in so we can see if we are a good fit for each other? If you're the person that I can help, and if you're not, I'm gonna tell you that you're not the right person, and I'm just gonna maybe refer you to somebody else, right? But at least have the opportunity to have a call with me, like a discovery call or a consultation of some sort, so we can find out if this system can help you to get the results that you want, that you desire. Okay, so hopefully, if you guys have any questions, let us know. We're live with you. We're gonna be done in a few minutes, so I want to make sure that you're taking some notes. Okay, so to answer the question, the program, it's a part of the Practice Accelerator. So essentially, when you go into the Practice Accelerator, it is included with that software is getting to you. Essentially, it's not a blank software, because then you have to set up everything. You have to put in the emails, the SMS campaigns. You have to set up the website, the landing page. So we already have the software that is loaded with already essentially it's like a practice. It's like a practice in a box, right? It's like we give you everything that we've been using successfully. So everything is like loaded onto the software, and that's really the value of it, because the software by itself is not going to bring you patients. Even the fanciest software. I once had a software that had scheduler and a website and all of that, and it was quite expensive. It was like $650. Forgot the name of it. It was Practice something, and I got to tell you, it took me months to set up the emails and write the emails and like create the website and connect everything together to the payment, my payment processor, so I can take payments. And in the end, it took me a few years to just figure out what works and what doesn't in my messaging. So we already loaded everything for you. It's already there. It's already done for you. And that's the value of the software. We don't charge $650 for it. Our entire Practice Accelerator is $485 a month. And then you get the software for free. But essentially what you're getting is us with you every Monday evening, doing this work and building this thing with you, right? We give you templates, we build with you the signature talk. So you're not there trying to do it by yourself. We're actually giving you all of this, like it's ready. It's just ready for you to get started. So if you have other questions, let us know. So Dr. Chill, take us into number 7.
Yes, this is actually an important point that actually ties everything together, right? It's talking about your visibility, and then now you want to add value, right? So the more value that you actually give away, the more trust that you're going to earn. Here's what I mean by this. So let's say you go out and do a talk. These talks can be at a corporate wellness place, your churches, your gyms, your community. If you have a collaboration with a primary care group, you could do this online, webinars and online workshops as well. What you want to do in everything is always provide value. You always want to provide some sort of takeaway so they actually come to these talks. You want to provide a takeaway that they haven't heard before, that they can actually apply to their life at the end of the talk, right? Or that at the end of the webinar, or they learn something that they're like, I need to look into this further. And guess who they're going to look into it further with? They're going to look into it further with you, because you're building credibility, you're adding value, you're giving them a takeaway. But every single time you do a talk, if you're doing a webinar online, you're giving a takeaway. If you're doing posts on social media, those posts should always have some sort of takeaway. And then with those takeaways, there needs to be a call to action where it's an invitation for them to work with you, or to jump on a discovery call with you, or to get a handout, right? It has to have some sort of call to action within all of that. And that is going to continue to add value, because now you're just adding in more takeaways for them. And the more takeaways that you give, the more trust that they have, the more credibility that you're building. And this is going to lead them to jump on in a program with you, or jump on a visit with you.
Yes, absolutely. And so I'll just kind of summarize a few of the things that you mentioned. And this is, again, where everything comes together, right? It's like, actually, we created this foundation, and now we're bringing in the people to pay us, right? So there are multiple ways that we can teach you. So, for example, we have a class specifically on free. So these are free methods to get clients in. So some of those methods could be doing your signature talk in person, in churches, in libraries, in corporations. You'll actually be surprised. There are practitioners in our community that are actually getting paid to do those talks in corporations. There are multiple ways. You can do this online. Free marketing, there's online way to do that. We show you how to get people into the presentation, and exactly, we give you the template, the signature talk, we give that to you ready. So we just help you adjust it based on your ideal client, your niche, who are you helping, and all of that. And then you just go out there and you do that. It's pretty straightforward. I can tell you, as an introvert, I was a little bit concerned when I first got this system, and that was years ago. I was a little bit concerned because I'm very shy. I'm very introverted, and I don't like to, like, I had this fear about going in front of people. And I'm going to tell you what my mentors told me, and that is, if your true purpose is to help as many people as you can, and you have this amazing tool that can change people's lives, why keep it a secret, right? The only reason that I was able to get out of pain, and I'm not taking any medication, and I feel great, and I have massive amount of energies, is because, right? Because this guy who was my mentor was there to educate me about functional medicine. If I wouldn't encounter that person, then I would still be in pain. So I'm very thankful that, that practitioner decided to go out of their shell and share their story and share how functional medicine, how this approach can change people's lives. And I heard that story and I said, you know what? I need to at least give it a try, right? And I did what every person that wants to get the results does, is I pulled up my credit card and I paid, because I wanted to get the results. And I wanted at least to give it a try. And so I booked it. I booked that appointment. I went to see this guy, and ever since then, it completely changed my life. And that led me to learn functional medicine, to apply, right? Open up I grew my practice to, we were like 15, 16 people. So it was great. It was an amazing experience. We helped a lot of patients. I want that for you. There's somewhere right now, there is a patient right there that is just waiting for you to go out and share your story. And they're going to listen to your story, and they're going to resonate, and they're going to say, you are the person for me. And that is going to be the person. When you change their life, you're not just changing their lives, you're changing their family lives, you're changing their community lives, you're changing everything all around you, right? It's got a massive impact. So that's one way of doing it. Now, if you want to do it just online, that's fine. There are methods to do it online. We got templates on how to do social media posting and all of that. So you can do online too. You can do online. You can have a post that takes them to your signature talk. Right? So they learn who you are, right? They just press the play button and they see who you are. They see what you're all about. They connect with you. They see how you do things different. And then the email campaign goes out and they get emails from you. And that is your most important aspect of your building a relationship, which is your follow-up. Follow-up is really important. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to get in today into the follow-up. We can have a whole 3 or 4 hours just on a follow-up, how to do it right and which mistakes to avoid. But I wanted to give you the template. It's like online, you post, they read it, they're like, oh, that looks interesting. This is the person this is the nurse or the physician or nurse practitioner that is really passionate about helping patients with type 2 diabetes neuropathy to find relief using natural solutions in functional medicine. And I'm going to click on it to see what they're all about. I'm going to connect with them through maybe a 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes recorded talk that they're giving. And then they're going to continue to send me offers, invites to connect with them, to come into a discovery call or a consultation. And from there, that's more money for you and more clients that are happy to get the results that we can provide them. So hopefully that makes sense. But remember, these clients are everywhere. They're everywhere. I give talks when I didn't have any money to spend on marketing. I gave talks in Whole Foods, and they were so happy to see me there, and they fill up the room for me. It was incredible. So there are so many methods. Of course, when we work with you one-on-one, we can help you determine which one of these matches more your personality and which one of those will be more favorable for you, and you get the best results. So, one thing that I also wanted to mention, I'm hoping that this was useful for you to get some ideas, start building up your practice, or if you already have a practice, grow your practice. Both me and Dr. Chill, you can probably tell, maybe it's coming through the screen, that we're so passionate about what it is that we do. And when I looked at the end of the day, right, what we try to do is create a place in which we help you to advance. We're there with you every week and help you to advance. So essentially, the way that we do this, right, our program includes the mentorship, which most business mentorship with experienced practitioners will go between $5,000 to $50,000. Right? Because any program that includes experienced mentors is going to be very expensive, especially folks that have experience in business. And then what we include, so this is one of the foundations. So you don't want to be out there by yourself. You want somebody to guide you like we have done today, but even one-on-one. So those are like one-on-one. So mentorship is one-on-one. Literally, you tell us where you are, and we tell you what's the next 2 or 3 steps to get where you want to go to. Number 2 is our live classes like we have today, but each time we actually we do it with you. So this is kind of do it with you, and we give you templates. So you don't want to try and reinvent the wheel. It takes months and years to figure out what works and what doesn't. So for that reason, we have very specific templates and systems, and we just kind of figure out where you are, where you want to go to, which templates you want to use, and then we just put it in together for you, right? So that's how we do that. So we have, if you need your signature talk, we have the template ready. We're just going to adjust it, put in some of your personality, your niche, your condition you want to focus in. Done. You want a website? We have templates of what it should be. We're going to put in your picture. We're going to put in a few things. Done, right? If you want to have your email campaign, your landing page, everything that is needed, we have that done for you. So that's the do-it-for-you systems So we got the systems, the strategies, all of that. This is, by the way, also on demand. So when you log into the Practice Accelerator, you will see all these classes. Number 3, we're giving you the software as a gift. So the software, most HIPAA compliant software, is between $300 to $650. I know, because that's what I used to pay for this type of software. And then, of course, you got a website, you have hosting, you have SMA, you got phone line, you got email. All of this needs to be HIPAA compliant. This can run you anywhere between $250 to $550 if it's HIPAA compliant, right? So all of this, right, could be quite expensive. So let's say the bottom line of all of this is like 300, 250, 5,000. So you're typically looking here at a monthly expense of, let's say this is $500 a month, this is $300, this is $250. So typically you're looking at $1,200 to $1,500 a month for all of these expenses. So what we have done essentially is our program, we have a one fee, and that includes everything is included. We give you the software, we do the live classes, we do the mentorship, everything. And right now it's $485 a month. And we have a one-time setup fee, which essentially allows us to bring our team and essentially do the tech setup, because we have to set up your phone, your email, everything, set up your website, set up your Stripe, which allows you to take payment, your scheduler. So we take all of that stuff and we set it up for you. So you got a technical support that actually meets up with you 2 or 3 times, and they do all of that setup. So if you want to save a lot of money and you want us to help you, and instead of paying hundreds or thousands of dollars, and just pay $485, we got all of that ready for you in the Practice Accelerator. We'll post Jacob, can you show the picture and post the link? So perfect. So we'll show you where you can get it. And essentially it includes everything. So you get multiple systems to build your practice. One of them is the consultation, how to successfully enroll patients and have more patients say yes to your offer, your signature talk, your health expert framework, ideal patients, where do you find them, how do you attract them in, the new patient flow, everything is included. It also includes your business phone, a secure email, website, everything is included. Can you go back to me? And Dr. Chill, do you want to mention anything about this program?
Yeah, it's the integrations, right? It's the full business systems, and we're giving you 2 different business systems. One that gets new clients and one for your referrals, right? You need a system that they go to that's fully automated. And so this is working for you 24/7. So you as a practitioner, you're not constantly educating, you're not constantly selling, you're not constantly getting on the phone with like, frankly, clients that aren't ready to work with you yet, right? These systems qualifies everybody. So by the time they actually jump on a call with you or actually go into your visit, they understand the functional medicine approach. They understand who you are, and you need a full system that walks them through a process in order to do that. And we give you 2 of those systems, and we integrate everything for you, from the landing page to the scheduling system, to the email campaigns, to the videos, to the webinars, all the way to the discovery call and the payments as well. It's all included in this.
Exactly. And the way that we try to build it is, instead of having these massive payments on a HIPAA compliant software, on a website. I remember I used to pay for a HIPAA compliant website and a scheduler. That was quite expensive. And then hosting on a monthly basis, and then phone line, and then I also had a payment for the secure emails. So it was quite expensive. And then I needed a landing page to host my webinar on, my signature talk on. So it gets quite expensive. It's like hundreds of dollars. And then, of course, my mentor, the mentorship is typically $5,000 to $50,000. My first mentor was $12,000. It was quite an investment. I had to borrow some of that money because I didn't have that amount of money. And that's why when I told you that when I first started, I didn't have money for marketing. And that's because I had to pay my mentor $12,000. So what we're doing here,
same situation.
it was hard, but it was harder for me to keep on going after 3 to 5 years and not making enough income for the value that I bring to the patients. And I also wanted to help more patients, right? And I also was working in a pain clinic where they just get prescriptions, and I knew that there's a much better way I should be using to help patients. So that was, for me, it was very personal. It was very personal. I was very invested. I just didn't have any money left for marketing. So that's where I took the same systems that my mentor taught me, and we teach you in the academy. And my mentor said, okay, no money for marketing, no problem. Here's 5 ways to get clients, fill up your schedule. I used 3 of those methods consistently, and I filled up my schedule. And really, today, I wish we had something like that when I first started, because if somebody tell me your payment is capped, like you, instead of paying all those softwares, paying for mentorship, thousands of dollars, paying, for systems and live classes and somebody working with you every week. If someone tell me it's like $485, I would be like, you're crazy. That's like 2 sessions a month.
Mm-hmm.
If you charge $250 per session, that's like 2 sessions a month, right?
Honestly, even when I was starting out, like you were saying, I had all of these different softwares, right? And all of them charged a different subscription, and they had to be integrated. They had to talk to each other, and they had to communicate with each other. And if they didn't, the whole system fell, right?
Exactly.
And I was paying, I think it was $770 a month for all of the different softwares, the landing page, the website, the email campaigns, the payment systems, the scheduling system. And it ended up being like $770. And I didn't even have the mentorship. I didn't have that. That was just the software.
Exactly. And I recall one time when I actually had I had this software, and I created the emails, and I created the pages, and it was quite expensive. It was like $350 a month just for the emails and the website, and it was HIPAA compliant. And then I had a technical problem, and I never forget how frustrating it was to not having nobody to turn to, right? It was so frustrating. And then going out and try to get clients, and it wasn't working well. I'm coming back to the practice, and my wife asks me like, how did it go? And I'm like, didn't go so well. I had like barely 1 person enrolled. And she's like, what happened? What did you do wrong? I'm like, I don't know. And I had nobody to turn to, which is the worst thing ever, right? So this is where the real value of an experienced mentor, and having like very specific templates and proven systems, like that what you're using is used by other practitioners and it's working. That it's been working for 10, 15, 20 years. So there's a lot of confidence with doing that. And then, of course, the software, that's a big bonus. You can use it or not use it, but I would highly recommend it. This is why we did it. For us in the academy, it's not the most profitable thing, because just charging $485 and giving you all of this, it's not the most profitable thing for us. But we're doing it because if you're going to be another one of our success stories, like everything you see on a website and like the other practitioners, then that's worthwhile for us, right? That's really where our mission is, to expand functional medicine, bring functional medicine to more and more patients across our country. So if we can do that by helping you to be up there in front of them and providing those services, that's really our mission and purpose, right? And all of you already know, if you're here, you know that our training and our programs and certification trainings are mostly clinical, right? So that's what we do. We provide clinical training. The reason we got in more and more into the practice building is because a lot of practitioners in the last 5 or 6 years are saying, that's all this clinical knowledge is amazing. Now I can help a lot of patients. Help me also increase my revenue. Help me get patients. Help me reduce my show. Help me improve my show-up rate. Help me get more clients in the door. Help me have more free time by having more automation. So that's what we created. This is really out of desire to help practitioners to automate, have all the tools they need to build a practice. So hopefully everything that we taught you today was helpful for you. We try to share as much as we can with the time. We kind of went way over the time that we have, but we wanted to really make sure we get you all the different strategies, share as much as we can at least. But every Monday, this current period of time from next Monday, we are working on the signature talk. So Dr. Chill in Monday evening is actually working with the Practice Accelerator community to build their signature talk. So if you're interested, this is a good time to check out the Practice Accelerator program, because we are now building the signature talk, which is one of the most important things in your practice. After that, we are going in December, we're going to start diving deeper into how do you get clients into your practice without spending any money on marketing. So this is a really good time to look into it. So I really appreciate all of you for being here. And I had a question, and I appreciate Dr. Chill for being here. I really appreciate you sharing everything that you've used to help our community members be successful.
Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yes. And I just want to mention for any of you, we got a question about the program that is starting on Monday, Dr. Esha's program, and that is the Integrative Health Practitioner. So this program is, we got a holiday promotion. It's until November 30th because we're starting on Monday. This is a 10 weeks to get certified. Dr. Esha is going to be with you every week on Monday evening. She's going to go over specific strategies that are integrative, nutritional, herbal strategies to help you advance and offer, and everything you're learning, you can offer right away. So this is not functional medicine. If you are interested in functional medicine, this is not for you. This is more for the clinicians who among you who want to have like simple, affordable strategies they can use right away. So if you see a patient with hypertension, we got a week on cardiovascular conditions. We're going to talk about hypertension, heart failure. We're going to talk about metabolics. We're going to talk about autoimmune conditions. So we're going to go one by one, week by week, and talk about strategies, evidence-based strategies. And we also include the phone app with all the treatment protocols. We also include the integrative nutrition and herbal medicine clinical guide. You actually get a printed copy for your practice, which is really cool. And Dr. Esha was very generous to give us this tool, the integrative guide, clinical guide that she's been working on for a long time to create based on her 12, 13 years of experience. So it has which supplements to use for each condition, which protocols, with the clinical studies. Really cool. We're offering a $2,100 holiday scholarship. So it brings it down to $2,400, which is, we try to make it super affordable. Plus, you are also going to get, when you join that specific program, you're going to get the phone app, you're going to get a ticket to the Integrative Pediatric Summit, and you're going to get a special class, which is Integrative Blood Chemistry Analysis. So whatever you see in your patients, CBC tests or lipid profile, whatever it is, we're going to have very specific protocols for. So these are the protocols that were used by physicians to build up their practice, right? And the same thing that we talked about today. If you want to see more testimonial, check out testimonials of Suzanne and Gina, who's built an amazing practice with getting paid $800 per appointment, a 3 months waiting list. So Jacob, do we have something to show on the webpage? Okay, and I want to finish with an invite. So I want to invite all of you to Saturday and Sunday, where we have a special class. This is a functional integrative medicine challenge. So Saturday morning, Sunday morning, we're actually going to spend time together to build your functional medicine program. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to use AI a little bit. We're going to use some clinical tools. We're going to use our treatment database. So we're going to actually build the whole integrative and functional medicine. That's why when you showed up today, we asked you, what is your niche? What condition you want to focus on? So now that you know that, show up on Saturday. We're going to spend 2 or 3 hours on Saturday morning, 2 or 3 hours on Sunday morning. By the end of it, my promise to you is you're going to have the whole program, like which labs do I need for that condition, which supplements do I need for that condition. You're going to have the protocols. Everything is going to be ready for you. So the ticket for that is $95, and we are going to give all of you, for showing up, that ticket as a gift. So it won't cost you $95, won't cost you anything. If you're interested, there's going to be an email coming out tomorrow during Thanksgiving, and that's again our holiday gift to you. You're going to get that ticket, and you're going to see $95 because it's going to be a coupon gift. You just click on it, and it'll give you that ticket as a gift. I hope to see you on Saturday so we can work on building your practice, your functional medicine practice, your functional medicine protocols. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And again, I want to thank our media team for allowing us to be here with you. I want to thank Dr. Chill.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Yes, and I want to thank each one of you for being here. And in the spirit of the holiday, I hope you have an amazing Thanksgiving with your family. I appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you for everything you're doing for your community, for changing people's lives. And if you got any questions, reach out to us. We have posted in the link in the chat, the link to the Practice Accelerator. And tomorrow we'll send out the gift ticket to the conference this weekend. So take care of yourself. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll see you in the next class.